The courtroom was buzzing with murmurs when Marcus Brown entered. Dressed in a simple gray suit, he carried himself with quiet confidence. Marcus was a 36-year-old black man with a stellar reputation in the legal world. As a federal prosecutor, his work had dismantled corrupt networks and upheld justice in high-profile cases. But today, he wasn't here in his professional capacity. He was here to challenge an unfair traffic fine. 2 weeks earlier, Marcus had been pulled over for allegedly running a red light. Despite his insistence that the light was yellow, the officer wrote him a ticket. He suspected it was less about traffic rules and more about his skin color. Marcus wasn't one to let injustice slide, so he decided to fight it in court. The presiding judge, Harold Whitaker, was notorious for his rigid demeanor and veiled biases. In his late 50s, Whitaker had spent decades on the bench. While he was careful never to overtly express prejudice, his rulings often revealed a pattern of disproportionately harsh penalties for people of color. The black community whispered about his reputation, but his power kept complaints buried under procedural red tape. When Marcus's case was called, Judge Whitaker barely glanced at him, his disdain masked behind a thin veneer of professionalism. "State your name and reason for contesting this ticket," the judge said curtly, tapping his pen against the desk. Marcus stood tall. "Marcus Brown, Your Honor. I believe this ticket was issued unfairly. I did not run the red light as claimed by the officer." Judge Whitaker's eyebrows rose slightly, and a condescending smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. "Of course you didn't," he drawled, his voice dripping with skepticism. "Do you have evidence to support your claim?" Marcus produced a dashcam recording from his car that clearly showed the light turning red after he had already crossed the intersection. He handed it to the clerk, who played it for the court. The video left no room for doubt. Despite the evidence, Judge Whitaker's expression darkened. Instead of acknowledging the mistake, he doubled down. "While the video may suggest otherwise," he said, "it's still possible that the officer perceived the situation differently. Traffic laws are designed to ensure safety, not accommodate personal interpretations. I'm upholding the fine." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Marcus clenched his jaw but maintained his composure. "Your Honor," he said evenly. "It's clear from the video that no violation occurred. Upholding this fine despite the evidence is a miscarriage of justice." Whitaker leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Are you questioning my judgment, Mr. Brown?" The room fell silent. Marcus took a deep breath. "I'm questioning the fairness of this ruling, Your Honor. As an officer of the court, I have a duty to uphold the law, and that includes holding the judiciary accountable when it fails." Whitaker's face turned red. "Officer of the court?" he sneered. "And what exactly is your position?" The prosecutor's calm demeanor shifted ever so slightly, his voice gaining an edge of authority. "Marcus Brown, Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District. I specialize in prosecuting corruption cases. Perhaps you've heard of me." The judge froze. The name Marcus Brown was well known in legal circles, but Whitaker had failed to connect it to the man standing before him. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "I see," Whitaker stammered, his previous bravado faltering. "Well, Mr. Brown, I may have been hasty in my ruling. Upon further consideration, I will dismiss the fine." But Marcus wasn't done. "Your Honor, this case may be dismissed, but the pattern of bias in this courtroom cannot be ignored. I will be filing a formal complaint with the Judicial Review Board." The judge's face drained of color. "That won't be necessary," he said hastily. "I assure you." "It is necessary," Marcus interrupted. "Justice must not only be done, but be seen to be done." Over the next few weeks, Marcus followed through on his promise. The complaint sparked an investigation into Whitaker's rulings, revealing a consistent pattern of bias against minority defendants. The scandal made headlines, and public outcry grew louder with each passing day. Eventually, Judge Whitaker was forced to resign in disgrace, his career ruined by the very system he had sought to manipulate. Meanwhile, Marcus's courage and unwavering commitment to justice inspired others to stand up against discrimination in the legal system. In the end, Marcus didn't just fight a traffic ticket. He exposed a deeper rot and proved that no one, not even a judge, is above the law.